Right, that's fine. Thank you. I do apologise to everybody this morning. Technical difficulties. You know, it's not nice for people to be waiting, and I do apologise. Right. Good morning and welcome to this Taxi and General Subcommittee being held on Friday, the 27th of November 2020. This meeting is being held remotely via Microsoft Teams due to the restrictions in relation to COVID-19. My name is Councillor Diane Price and I will be chairing this licensing meeting today. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available to view via the Council's website, except for discussions involving confidential or exempt items. Therefore, the images or audio of those individuals present and or speaking will be publicly available to all via the recording on the Council website at www.gifferly.gov.uk. I will now carry out a roll call for attendance. Please, can you announce yourself as present when I call out your name? Members first, please. Councillor Donna Cushing.
Present, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Walter Williams.
Present, Chair.
Oh, thank you. Wait a minute now. Can I check the following officers are present? Bear with me. Lee Morgan, Licensing Manager.
Yes, Chair, good morning.
Catherine Hopkins, Senior Licensing Officer.
Yes, thank you.
Todd Rawson, Solicitor.
Present, Chair.
I got a page up in there now. How do I do that? Oh, I need to offer you this morning. Bear with me and talk to myself as well. Oh, too much now. Rebecca Barrett, Committee Services Officer.
Present, Chair.
Thank you for your help, Rebecca. You're a gem. Please, can I check the applicant is present? Mrs. Gemma Evans.
Yes.
Thank you for being present. I also have a list of local residents speaking at the meeting. Please announce yourselves as present when I call out your name. Mr. Terry Martin.
Present.
Mr. Stuart Platt.
Present.
Thank you. Can I also welcome supporting officers from committee services who are present in the background? Thank you all for confirming your attendance. Please can I remind attendees that if they lose connection during the meeting, where am I to? Oh, wait a minute. Page 1 of 7. Where am I gone now? Oh, I'm over the other side, man. Sorry. Right, I've gone into now, declaration, oh, bear with me, people. Declaration, page up and page down. Oh. Right, I don't know what part I'm on now, Beck. I got local residents will then be out. No, I've gone too far, haven't I?
Yes,
Rebecca.
Chair, if I can assist, if you can go back up the page. And you've just finished the welcome supporting officers from committee services.
Right, wait a minute. Please make, well, I got 1 of 7 now. Thank you all for confirming your attendance. Please can I remind attendees that if they lose connection during the meeting, please make, where do I go there then?
You scroll down, Chair.
Because it got then, the local residents will then be asked, oh yes, I can understand now, sorry. Oh dear me, get these glasses changed. The local residents will then be asked to address the subcommittee in support of their representations.
Chair, apologies.
I got too far, haven't I?
I think you've missed a section, Chair, do apologise.
What have I done, love?
Chair, perhaps if I could ask Todd to give the procedure, would that be helpful to you, Chair? If I could ask Todd to read through the procedure.
Okay.
Thanks, Beck.
Thank you.
Should we just go through any declarations of interest?
Yeah, we haven't done that, have we?
Chair, if we could just move to the agenda.
Do I do that now?
Chair, yes, Chair, if you move to the agenda, if you move to item 1, apologies for absence, please.
Oh, right, we're on there now, sorry. Right, to receive apologies for absence. Have we had any?
None, Chair, no apologies received.
Right, declarations of interest now then. Just a minute. Councillors and officers are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal or prejudicial interest in respect of any item of business on this agenda, in accordance with Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and Code of Conduct for both councillors and officers, and to receive the considered report. Do I go on to that now? No. Yeah? I do, don't I? Help! Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act, application for street trading. What are you saying to me now? Yeah. Right, we got the report agenda item 3. Do I read that then?
Chair, if you could hand over to Mr Todd Robertson from Legal,
Oh,
please, who will outline the
you.
procedure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Todd, because I can't see you.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few housekeeping matters before we go into the matter today. If you lose connection through the meeting, if you can just continue to make attempts to reconnect. Committee services are on hand to give you assistance should you require. The meeting will continue as long as the meeting is quorate. If everyone can keep their microphones on mute until they're invited to speak, it'll minimise any background noise and give the person who is speaking the greatest chance of being heard by everyone. Also remind that the chair's got the discretion to remove any persons from the remote meeting if that becomes necessary. If you wish to speak, please use the hands up function in Microsoft Teams. I am conscious that there's people on the telephone, so if you do wish to speak, perhaps if you gently interrupt the meeting verbally, may be best. Before members consider the matter, I will firstly run through the procedure that we followed at today's meeting. Firstly, the licensing manager will present his report to the subcommittee. All parties will then have the opportunity to ask questions of the licensing manager regarding the information contained in the report. Miss Evans, the street trading applicant, will then be asked to address the subcommittee in support of her application. All parties will then have the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant. The local residents will then be asked to address the subcommittee in support or opposition, in support of their representations. All parties will then have the opportunity to ask questions of the local residents. Ms. Evans will then have the opportunity to respond to the residents' representations if she wishes to do so, and all parties will then have the opportunity to sum up. Please note that the sum up or the summary of any information, please note that the summary should be of information that you've already presented to the committee, and no new information should be submitted or introduced at that time. Please can I ask, if you do not clearly hear a question or response, that you ask the person speaking if they can repeat what they have said. If you lose connection, we will pause the proceedings. So as stated before, please make every effort to rejoin. If you do have difficulties in reconnecting, please contact committee services on the following telephone number: 01443 864 245. That's 01443 864 245. Once all parties have summed up, everyone will leave the meeting by clicking on the hang up button or the leave button on their screen. Once members have reached their decision, the clerk will inform licensing and the applicant and that the subcommittee is ready to reconvene. Everyone will be asked to rejoin the Teams meeting through the meeting link that was sent to you. Once all attendees have rejoined the meeting, the decision of the subcommittee will be announced. Please be advised that determination of these issues rests with the Taxi and General Subcommittee, and that there's no further rights of appeal that the committee's decision in this regard is final. That is the procedure for the meeting. If anyone has any questions on the meeting procedures, please indicate now using the hands up function, or if you're on the telephone, perhaps indicate your question to me. I can't see any hands, Chair. I'll hand
Okay.
back to you.
Okay. What is the next procedure then, Mr. Rawson?
Perhaps if we pass across to Lee Morgan, the licensing manager, to present his report.
Okay. Over to you, Mr. Morgan.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Well, good morning, members. Can I also welcome the applicant, Ms Evans, and also the two local residents to this subcommittee meeting this morning. Members, the matter for determination this morning is the application for the renewal of a street trading consent in which the applicant is Ms Gemma Evans. Members, you will be aware that the Council has adopted the whole of the borough as a street trading consent area for street trading purposes. So before any activity is permitted, a consent must be applied for through the local authority. Members will be aware that the Council has previously adopted a street trading policy which details the determination process and the fitness criteria for both new and renewal applications. The policy sets out that the Council will consider the following objectives, which are the prevention of crime, the prevention of disorder and antisocial behaviour, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of the local amenity. As part of any application for a street trading consent, there is a 14-day consultation period. And during this time, this enables any of the appropriate bodies and members of the public to make any representation they wish to in relation to the consent application. In this instance, Ms Evans has submitted a renewal application for a street trading consent, which is based within the car park area of the Bungalow Club, forgive my pronunciation of this, Llwyn Street in Oakdale. The applicant has held a consent at this location for a period of 1 year. The previous consent that was held permitted street trading between the hours of 8:30 till 2:30 Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. till 2 on a Saturday, and 11 a.m. till 3 on a Sunday. The application on this occasion to renew seeks to extend the hours of the consent to 8:30 till 10 p.m. Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. on a Saturday, and 10 till 10 on a Sunday. The consent is operated from a catering trailer offering the sale of hot food and drinks to members of the public. Members, in relation to the 14-day consultation period, there were no reps opposing the renewal of the application received from the appropriate bodies, and they would be the likes of Environmental Health, the Highways Department, Gwent Police. So no representations have been received from those bodies. However, two separate representations have been received from local residents, and the comments that have been received are contained within your bundle at Appendix 1, which are detailed on pages 7 and 8 of the report. Members, you will hear from the applicant shortly, who will outline her consent application to you. You will also hear from the two residents who have submitted their representations, who will have the opportunity shortly to detail their concerns in relation to the granting of the consent. It's my understanding, and I will be corrected on this, that one of the residents appears to be content with possibly the existing hours that were being operated. However, I don't think that that is the case amongst both of the local residents that have made objections. Members, the paragraph 5.6 of your report sets out a number of the considerations in relation to the street trading consent objectives. Paragraph 5.7 details how we will approach this consent application this morning. I'll offer you some guidance there. Paragraph 5.9, that details that the committee has the ability to grant, add conditions, or refuse to renew a consent. A consent could be granted for the maximum period of up to a year. Members, like in all reports, there is an officer recommendation which is included. That is purely a recommendation. However, before we get into that, I think it's important now that you hear from the applicant, who can provide you some further information in relation to her application, and also the local residents who are party to this meeting this morning. What I plan to do now is hand back to you, Chair, or possibly to the legal advisor, who can bring in those individuals so we can hear from the applicant and the local residents. So I'll hand back unless you have any questions for me. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Morgan, please? No, I can't
Yes,
see, but
actually, I do have a question, Diane. Sorry,
Okay,
I keep struggling
I
with my
can't see.
mouse there. Yeah, can I just ask Mr. Morgan, in regards to the street vending licensing, is there a separate licensing which can be applied for evening trade to what is currently on the day trading? Because obviously I have seen around and about some vendors trading in the evening. So is that a separate licensing application, or, you know, if you could respond to that, appreciate it.
Okay. The street trading consent would permit activities for you to sell goods from the street at 10 p.m. Anything thereafter may require a separate license. So, example, if you were selling hot food, for example, after 11 o'clock of an evening, then you would require a premises license in addition to any street trading consent that you would also probably need to hold. The authority has taken a position that for the purpose of hours, I think it's 10 p.m. is the cut-off point. That I will clarify that we would allow consent to trade. But anything later would require, after 11 o'clock, a late night refreshment license. They're primarily things like your kebab shops, which are or any sort of food you would have in a sort of a licensed premises later on of an evening.
Okay, Councillor Cushin.
Excuse me, can I ask a question?
Indeed, yes.
The representations were made by myself and my wife. Is my wife allowed to speak when the time comes?
What does that legal say?
Todd,
could I ask?
Sorry, Chair. I don't see any issue with that. It's just going to be supplementary to the written objections.
Okay.
So I don't think that's an issue.
That's fine.
You're welcome.
We also seem to have a question from Mr. Platt.
Mr. Platt, okay.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, is there a minimum distance for a street trader like a burger van to be sited away from residential properties?
Could somebody come in and answer that, please?
If you just allow me a second, I just need to check on the conditions. There would be a condition. So,
Plenty of time, Mr. Morgan, don't worry. I've kept you waiting.
Mr. Platt, what I'll do is I'll come back to you on that point. In relation to there are specific conditions set out in our policy, which in regards to advertising and then removal of litter, etc. Let me just check. I'll have a quick look through the policy and just check if there's a physical distance that's detailed in our policy. If we, I will come back to you though during this meeting to confirm that for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're quite welcome. Mr. Rawson, would you come in and help, please?
Yes, Chair. I can't see any further hands up for questions for Mr. Morgan. So whilst he checks the policy to get an answer for Mr. Platt's question, perhaps we'll pass across to the applicant, Ms. Evans, to give her presentation to the committee.
Okay, thank you very much. Are you happy with that, Mrs. Evans? Would you like to make your representations?
Yes.
Okay.
Fine.
Right, the chair is yours.
Firstly, I'd like to apologise on behalf of everyone that's got the objections to this. I can confirm that the hours of trading would not be changing. They would still be 9 till around 2, and soon we will be closed possibly 2 days a week. In refers to the licensing until 10, the pub, which is the Bungalow Club, they have asked if we would maybe be interested in catering for their Christmas parties and Halloween parties. So that is why the licensing come about until the 10 p.m. just to give, you know, that I'm able to open until that time. You know, the licensing won't be a problem. So that is the only thing for the 10 p.m. going on the licensing. In regards to like the rubbish, there is several bins located on the premises. We do encourage people to put their rubbish in the bins provided. We haven't had very many occasions with rubbish. If sometimes I have come in the mornings and there has been rubbish, I have picked it up myself and put it in the bins provided. There's also signs that I've put up by the Burke van to encourage people to use the car park. I know that is a problem that was stated, but I do feel that a lot of the cars that are parked on the roads are from the pub, because when I left, it was probably about 2 weeks ago, around 2:40, so the burger van had then been closed for 40 minutes. There was 6 vehicles parked up on the front, which had nothing to do with the burger van.
Okay. Yeah. Is that all you wanted to say?
Until there's questions, yeah, just, you know, like I said, I am sorry. But yeah, there are bins provided. The foul language, we don't really hear a lot of it, but some of it is from the site. Some people like walking down, but the site does close now, I think, Christmas. And everyone will sort of be moving on to other places until then. But that's it, thank you.
Questions, but you've just answered, so thank you for that. Are there any questions for Mrs. Evans, please? I can't see you, so you'll have to come in and tell me.
So I think Councillor Cushing's got a question.
Okay.
Oh. Hi, thanks for letting us know that information, Mrs. Evans. One question I'd like to ask, if you're saying that these are for specific dates and requests by the club themselves for you to provide catering, might you be able to, with your application, submit those dates that you're actually asking for the extension of the time? You know, so that they could be more specific rather than sort of general, because from what I can see in the application, it's just a general application asking to be open until that particular time. Rather, as you say, it's for specific dates like Halloween, maybe bonfire night,
I can
Christmas,
understand. Because of obviously the COVID situation at the moment, and they're unable to have, like, they sometimes have bands and stuff, and they would ask if we would cater for them and stuff. So it wouldn't be very often, but obviously due to the COVID, they're unsure. Obviously, they can't have certain entertainments, so they are unsure of dates that the catering would be sort of needed. It wouldn't be very often, but it was something that, you know, we've sort of, you know, come to like a mutual agreement of sort of now and again. So then dates is not something that I would be able to sort of plan straight away or get them dates sort of sorted.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Cushing?
Yes, it does, thank. I do actually have another question, if that's
yes,
okay.
carry on.
Can I ask as well, Mrs. Evans, in regards to obviously your hygiene facilities, are you reliant then on the club allowing you to use their facilities to ensure hygiene is up to standard?
We do get water, yes, from the pub itself, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Williams, would you like to ask any questions?
Yes, please, Chair.
Carry on.
Mrs. Evans, when you say you collect water from the bungalow club, do you use the toilets and everything as well? Other facilities?
Yes, the toilets, yeah, we do use the toilets as well, yes.
Yeah. So the club doesn't have any kitchen facilities of its own at all, does it?
Pardon?
The club doesn't have any kitchen facilities of its own?
I'm not entirely sure on that one. I think it's just the fact of sometimes when it gets busy, it would sort of be more convenient, obviously, to open the burger van for the sale of just, you know, your burgers and your hot dogs. Obviously, so they've got like the serving time and stuff. I think that's what more the thing was, and you know, like kids' meals and stuff. That's sort of, you know, what the agreement was.
Yeah, but you couldn't really be exclusive to the clientele for that bungalow club. If you're in a car park, anyone could turn up and be served.
Yes, I do see what you mean. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Is there any more questions now for Mrs. Evans?
Chair, I'd like to ask a question. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Miss Evans, it's Todd Rawson, the legal officer here. Based on what you've just said, just so there's no confusion, you still wish for the extended hours, that's correct?
Yes, if possible.
But what you're saying is that you won't necessarily use them all the time. They're going to be linked to when you may want to open in relation to events or nights at the club. Is that a fair summary?
Yes.
So in relation to opening in the evenings, late on till say 10 o'clock at night, you would do that, your trade would be relying heavily on the patronage of the club, customers from the club. Okay. In the last 12 months, have you personally been approached by any of the neighbouring residents and received any complaints about any issue in relation to your business?
No, not at all.
Any written complaints?
No.
Have been approached by any members of the council, environmental health, or highways in relation to any complaints?
No.
All right, thank you, Chair. I think Mr. Lee Morgan's got a question as well, Chair.
Okay, Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, I do have a couple of things, but I'm just conscious I did see the hand raised from Mr. Martin and his wife there previously, and I went back down. So I just wanted at this point to check if there's anything that they would like to come in on.
Yes, please.
I'd like to ask a question, if that's possible at this time.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, experience over the last 12 months that the pub has been open for parties, special nights, etc., entertainment, music, on the odd occasion, maybe 4 or 5 times in the year. And my question is, would Mrs. Evans want to be have the burger van open for every one of those nights? And would it just be restricted to those nights? Because the experience we've had is that the pub has been very, very popular at times when they've got live music or a special outdoor event going on. And if the burger van is very successful, then will there be more times when the burger van and the pub combined would make a very sort of attractive venue? And so would there be a lot more times when they would open? If a thing is profitable, you're going to carry on doing it. And so, and saying maybe only 2 or 3 nights a week, a year, sorry, 2 or 3 nights a year, she will be open till 10 o'clock, would jump considerably, in my opinion, and cause an awful lot of nuisance disruption.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Martin. Is the question to Miss Evans, is there a risk that the opening of the burger van in the evenings would become more frequent across the year? Is that
Absolutely.
the question?
More than the 2 or 3 times.
Rather than being occasional. Okay. Miss Evans, do you want to answer that question?
Yes, if possible. I would have no interest at all, really, to open, sort of every night or, quite a few times throughout the year until 10 p.m. That's not in my interest at all. The hours of sort of 9 till 2 work perfectly for me around my kids and everything. I have no thing to open sort of any later. Yes, it might be like a few times during the COVID situation. It might not be any time, but it would definitely not be more than maybe just a Christmas party, maybe Halloween, and maybe 1 to 2 evenings in the summer if there was bands, if they was interested in doing anything sort of outside, and that would probably be it. Other than that, there would be no interest from me opening until that time. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rawson?
I know that Mr. Morgan's still got his hand up to ask his questions.
Okay, I can't see you. Okay.
Yep,
Sorry,
okay.
Mr. Morgan.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Chair. It's just to come back, if I may, on a point that Mr. Platt raised earlier. Mr. Platt, I apologise for the delay in coming back to you, but in relation to the question, I think I was asked, I think it's about a minimum distance, I believe, in relation to from the vending unit through to residential housing. In relation to what the policy says, is that in our policy at section J, and I know you may not have it to hand, there's certain distances from things like hospitals, care homes, educational establishments, and certain roads and junctions. Nothing specifically mentioned about residential premises by meterage. However, what the policy does do, it does indicate locations which may be unsuitable for street trading would be where there is any likelihood of nuisance from either noise, light, smell, litter, fumes to households and businesses in the vicinity of the proposed site. So in relation to your question, it doesn't specify a minimum distance, but obviously says that a location may not necessarily be suitable. Also, in relation to I think I was asked a question about the times earlier by Councillor Cushing, and in relation to permitted trading hours, the policy details that we would only normally permit street trading between the hours of 8 AM and 10 PM on any day in a residential area, but it may be up till 11 o'clock in a non-residential area. So just covering off both queries from earlier. Mr. Platt, just to sort of just to answer your query from earlier on, and Chair, I'll hand back to you a second. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Mr. Rawson, I got nothing in my screen, so.
Oh, there's Councillor Williams has got his hand up. I think he'd like to ask another question.
Okay.
Yes, please, Chair. Could I ask Mr. Morgan, if the applicant wanted to open occasionally, couldn't she then apply for a licence on these particular nights? Doesn't have to have it for the whole 12 months?
Okay. It may. The application today, as it stands at the moment for your consideration, would be between the hours I stipulated earlier. So at the moment, the application as it stands is for the hours, bear with me, to go to 8:30 till 10 Monday to Friday, 9 AM till Saturday, and 10 to 10 on a Sunday. So that that is what members would need to determine at this meeting today as to whether they felt that's what the applicant is seeking. Obviously, if the applicant amends their application and wants you to consider something different, then obviously that's fine. As members, you have the ability to limit or condition the hours and the days that are applied for. It may be, and perhaps I'll take some advice from the legal advisor in relation to this, as to whether for the occasional, it depends, I suppose, on the what is occasional. So occasional to me, it could be once every fortnight, but then it could be that occasional could also be I occasionally open a Monday, a Wednesday, a Friday, a Tuesday, a Thursday. You know, I think obviously I'm sure the residents will have something to say on the occasional nature. I suppose they would want some clarification as to the numbers of occasions and the times when this any trading is likely to take place for certainty in their minds, I would think.
Yeah, and I was thinking with licensing, you can get your TENS application. Is there one for this type of
there are shorter time period consents, which could be daily or weekly, 6 monthly, monthly. So there are different types of consents that could be applied for. But again, the one that you are being asked to consider this morning is for those times. So there are shorter periods that are available, as you've identified, you know, with another license type, the Licensing Act. That so that this or any other person could potentially make shorter consent applications to the council.
Yeah. I was thinking if the applicant wanted Halloween or Easter type of thing, the council could say then after 4 applications, they could say, well, that's enough now because it's getting a little bit too regular type of thing. Okay, thanks so much, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Rawson, would you like to come in, please?
Yes, Chair. Councillor Cushing's got a hand up. I think she's got another question.
Okay.
Hi, thanks. Well, I'm wondering whether either Mr. Morgan or Mr. Rawson can answer me this question. If the applicant was granted application for this extension, are we allowed to limit the amount of days? Say, for instance, if she's has it for a year, that we limit, she can only do it, I don't know, 12 times in a year, so that she's that way. Then they would be given some reassurance to the residents that she's only limited to doing it. So basically, because she's asking for events when there are events going on, that we could limit that. Right? Okay, this application will go through, but only for 12 nights or 12 periods during an annual period. Do you understand what I mean?
Perhaps I'll come back. I believe that members could impose conditions as to the trading permissions for this consent. And again, I'll take some further advice from the legal advisor, but that is my understanding, is that there could be conditions limiting trade to for particular days or numbers of days, if obviously it was felt to be appropriate in line with the council's policy.
Yeah, I agree. I think the power to do that's there. I think members would need to consider the practicalities of enforcement for licensing. Should conditions like that be imposed, it would obviously have to be monitored.
I'm sure the residents would probably self-monitor it anyway.
Yeah, but it is slightly awkward in terms of not knowing the dates that the extended hours would need to be, or preferred to be used for. because I think part of the process is assessing the likely disruption to the neighbours and so forth as per the pillars in the policy. You still need to come to a determination on those pillars, and there's a great deal of uncertainty if it's going to be just a numerical amount of times in any 12-month period. But yeah, I think there's scope in the policy to allow that type of decision.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Rawson, we've got another resident that wishes to speak.
No one's got their hand up, but it might be a good opportunity just to quickly chat. Mr. Platt, do you have any questions of Miss Evans?
Not at the moment, no.
All right. Well, Mr. Platt, whilst not at the moment, this is really the opportunity to ask questions. So if it passes, you may not get a further opportunity. Mr. and Mrs. Martin,
No.
do you have any questions, any further questions just at the moment?
Yes, I would like to ask another question, please. In Mrs. Evans's address, she stated that she was shortly going to be closing 2 days a week. And I think that would be relevant to our overall sort of understanding of what's going on and maybe tolerance to what's going on. Could Mrs. Evans please confirm what days of the week she will close and when that will start?
Mrs. Evans?
Yes. I have been thinking about maybe either a Sunday and a Monday, or maybe a Monday and a Tuesday. That is something I'm still thinking about, and not a sure answer on them days. I've heard from the builders that they are leaving the site around the 18th to the 19th, something like that, around of December. So I will sort of be taking it in to close 1 day in the week for that. Sunday, I may be closed within the next couple of weeks. That will probably start taking place.
So,
But
yeah.
in the new year, then those 2 days will you be open again when the builders come back to the site?
I've heard from the builders that phase 2 wouldn't be for 2 years, that the builders would all go and the phase 2 would take place in 2 years.
Okay. Is the evenings, because it will totally and utterly disrupt our peace and quiet, especially in the summer. And when you've got youngsters coming up to get their burgers with their windows open and their radios blaring, and also people coming out.
Sorry, Mrs. Martin. What's the question to Miss Evans?
Well, I'm just wondering. Well, she did answer my question actually, yeah. So that's fine.
Okay,
yeah, can I just add another sort of question then to Mrs. Evans?
Yeah.
Can you be more specific on the days that you would like to open till 10 o'clock so that this could be incorporated, if possible, into your license?
Yeah, as previously stated, it would probably only, like I said, it would maybe be Christmas dates. Obviously not. Don't really know the dates yet. Obviously, I don't think the Christmas parties, etc., will go ahead this year. Obviously, Halloween has already passed. Depending what it's like in the summer, but I am happy to sort of work with the licensing and yourself to only be allowed to open so many times in the year, if that makes everybody, feel more comfortable. If that is something that could be done.
But could you be more specific on the days? I mean, be quite happy if you said 2 nights in December, Halloween, and that would be it. So we could, well, my wife's objecting to me, so.
Yeah, that's understandable. Like I said, at the moment, I don't really have any plans at the moment to open around the Christmas. Obviously, that could change, depending what's going on with the pub, whether the pubs will be open around Christmas. Obviously, I think the situation is, sort of no one knows with this COVID situation. But at the moment, it might be 1 to 2 nights in December. It might not. That's something that at the minute I can't completely answer, because obviously if the pub's not open, there would be no trade and no reason for me to stay open, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I fully understand what you're saying. But we wouldn't in any way wish to give an unrestricted license to yourself to any day. Then I mean, any night you're open is going to cause us major disruption. We live, as you know, within probably 40 yards of well, just across the street from where the burger van is.
Right.
And we do have some noise disruption on a regular basis. And if the van was open until 10 o'clock, even on those nights that it is going to be open until 10 o'clock,
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Martin. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Martin. You will have a chance very shortly to put your case to the committee. We're just limited to questions at the moment.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rawson, would you like to continue?
Yes, I think the questions are now over. I can't see any further hands up. If I just grab our agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll start to pass to Mr. and Mrs. Martin to give their presentation to the committee, followed by any questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Martin.
Okay, well, I suppose our main objections really are on the basis of public disorder, which we believe would ensue with the burger van being open till 10 o'clock every night, people coming out of the pub, people coming out of pubs maybe in a local vicinity and using the burger van. There would be noise, lights, smell, litter, disturbance to us on virtually every evening of the week. And that's not acceptable, because if, as I said in my representation, we hear enough noise as it is now and bad language, but people coming out of the car park of where the burger van is, in their cars at sort of any time after dark, lights would shine straight through our living room window. That's one side of it. So we've got the noise, the light, the smell, the litter. There's also the hazard of parking, because regardless of what Mrs. Evans has said, the majority of parking before 2 o'clock in the day is from people stopping, parking outside on the pavement and using the burger van. Heavy lorries, which quite often leave their engines running, their radios are on, people just gather there, and quite often they'll buy their burger, they'll wait for their burger, have their burger, eat it, and so a van or a lorry or a car could be parked outside on the pavement for 10, 15, 20 minutes. So that's our main objection. I think public safety is really at risk. The other morning, there was a van, like a large van, maybe 15, 20 foot long, reversing out of the car park, out onto the main road. And on the main road, there was a lorry parked one side and the other side a car. So it's a hazard as I see it, and as well as a noise nuisance and everything. You got anything to add there?
Well, my main objection is in the evenings, because especially in the summer, it will spoil if we want to sit in the garden or if we want to work in the garden, because there will be noise. As I said, there could be youngsters there, which they do outside the pub anyway, and the radios are going, and it's just the noise and the disruption to want to be sort of have a quiet evening or have a residential place where we can enjoy. if it's every night, we've got the smells, we've got everything else, and it's going to be totally disruptive.
And can I also add then, whilst only 2 residents have put forward representations, I know of 2 others, minimum of 3 others, sorry, that have actually said they don't want it to be open, they object to it totally, but they're not prepared to make a formal objection. So, and these are people who are within 100, 150 metres of the burger van, the car park. So we're not on our own, it's not just the 2 of us. There is, yeah, well, I think that's it, yeah, because at the current opening hours, the actual hours that the burger van is open, are from 9 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And this certainly is, it doesn't interfere with children going back and forth to school, which after 2 o'clock, come 3:30, and before 9 o'clock, children are going down our streets with parents, some of them, some without.
Having to go on the roads to pass the cars.
And they will have an issue. They don't at this moment, but they will have an issue if cars are parked all along the street, or parks, lorries. And today I do see mothers coming home from dropping their children off to school with a baby in a pushchair or pram, and they have to go on the road in order to get past the lorry or the car that's parked on the pavement. So.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rawson, is there anybody else now got their hands up that would like to ask or whatever?
Yeah, yes, Chair. In terms of questions for Mr. and Mrs. Martin, Councillor Cushing would like to ask one.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Martin. Thanks for your presentation. Regarding the parking infringements, have you reported these infringements to the council or to the police? Because obviously it is illegal to park on the pavement. And obviously, you know, the council or the police can actually do something about these infringements.
Yeah, no, we haven't.
No, we haven't. No.
Right, and the other one final question I'd like to ask you would, I know you're obviously thinking that this might be something which is going to happen every night, these, especially probably on the weekends, and I can appreciate that you'd want to enjoy your, you know, being able to enjoy your back garden and going outside, especially in the summer, etc. I know personally, because I live next door to a pizza place anyway, so I actually have this every night.
Right.
But what I was wondering is whether or not you would be objective to if we put conditions and restrictions on the license, i.e. like my first suggestion, my previous suggestion, limiting it to so many days in an annual period, say for instance like 12 days a year, because then obviously that the applicant, Mrs. Evans, can actually just use it then for the times, i.e. Halloween, Christmas period, Easter, bonfire night, a couple of activities in the summer that might be going on in the fields behind the club. So I'm just wondering whether or not if you would have any objections if we actually limited the days.
Can I just say that the pub across the road has had the evenings when it has live music. It's had live music in the yard behind the pub, in the car park, and we can't shoot a thing. We got all the windows closed midsummer, the television on blaring, and sorry, we can hear everything.
Yeah,
it's a major issue,
Yes.
and with all the doors and windows shut, we still got noise pollution within our home.
So I would object to them opening for these events, because it's enough to put up with the events that we've got to put up with, because I know we live opposite a pub, so we have to put up with those. But to me, that's enough. This would be
Will it encourage
Yes,
more?
it would. This would be the it would be awful. It's bad enough as it is. So this would be awful.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Cushing?
No, my further question, sorry. Thanks, Councillor Price. So basically what you're saying is if the burger van was open for these type of events, you feel that it might encourage more people to attend, therefore the noise pollution would be far more?
Undoubtedly, yes.
Undoubtedly,
And
yes.
more people who maybe have had a few to drink, and they do become rather louder once they've had a couple of pints.
Yes, and the language is usually very choice. So
Okay,
and
then, thank you very much.
It really carries. It carries over the road. If we didn't hear it, it wouldn't be a problem. But it carries over the road. In the summertime, I've had my niece and different things here, and I've had to take the children in because the language is so bad. So it would be even worse.
And
okay, thank you.
Can I ask Councillor Walter, do you want to ask any questions?
No, thanks, Chair. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rawson, would you like to come in, please?
Yes, Chair. I just want to quickly check. Miss Evans, did you have any questions of Mr. and Mrs. Martin?
Not really. Just on the thing of, obviously, yeah, you know, there is a pub there, and
that's okay. If you don't have any questions, I'll just pass to Mr. Platt.
Right. Okay.
Do you have any questions at all? Mr. Platt?
No questions.
All right, thank you then. Well then, Mr. Platt, maybe it's a good chance for you to give your presentation to the committee.
Okay. Well, thank you for hearing me. I'm registering my objection on the grounds of the burger van being too close to residential housing. The noise from people gathering. I mean, I've sat in my own garden and somebody's come along to the burger van, been quite loud, and every third word's been a profanity. There's cars parked on the street, including on the pavement. And I know Councillor Cushing said about reporting this to the police, but it's my understanding that in England and Wales, outside London, people should not park on the pavement, as opposed to must not park. There's also the smell of the food cooking becomes unpleasant when the wind's blowing in the right direction. And many people have dropped litter. They've had stuff from the burger van, walked away from the burger van, finished what they're eating and just decided to drop it wherever they feel like. There are other people who a couple more. There are other people who buy stuff and they'll sit in their cars with their engines idling, playing loud music, and it's just a few meters from my window. It's not tolerable during daylight and would be even less tolerable during the evening.
Okay, is that it, Mr. Platt?
Well, I'd also like to say about the notice that was put up. We only found out about this application through a neighbour mentioned it. They'd seen something on Facebook, and when I went to check the post, the pillar where something had been stuck up, it was completely illegible.
Okay. Can we note that, Mr. Morgan? Is there anything else you would like to say, Mr. Platt?
No.
Mrs. Evans, would you like to ask Mr. Platt anything, please?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rawson, I'll come back to you now.
Thanks, Chair. I believe Councillor Cushing's got a question for Mr. Platt, followed by Mr. Morgan.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Platt. Thanks for coming today and putting forward your representation. Just one or two questions I'd like to ask you. Same question to yourself. Would you have objections to the having time limits, limited days for Mrs. Evans to hold the license for? The other issue is regarding the cars idling. I can totally appreciate where you're coming from like I said, I live next door to a pizza place. I've got it all the time outside my house. I've got the noise all the time, and this goes on till about 11 o'clock in the night. So I can really, truly appreciate where you're coming from. But have you made any reports like I asked the other lady and gentleman, sorry, I forgot your surnames, I do apologise. Have you made any reports to the council and the police, one for the environmental impact regarding cars idling, because they're not allowed to have cars idling, and two, the parking infringements?
No.
Right, and would you have any objections if the license was limited to so many days in the year, or you don't want that at all?
No, we wouldn't want it open at night at all. Yeah.
Okay, then, lovely. Thank you very much.
Right, is that it, Mr. Rawson?
Yeah, I think Mr. Morgan's got a question.
Mr. Morgan, okay.
Thank you, Chair. It was Councillor Cushion has helpfully asked the question. I just, in terms of clarity, in terms of the reporting of any of the issues, it's not something that we've had forwarded through to us. But Councillor Cushion has asked the question I was going to ask. I think after the meeting, whatever, I think I will provide contact details of the relevant departments for both the local residents, in order that they can, if they have concerns, that they are able to report those. I think that's important. But thank you.
Yeah.
Chair, there doesn't seem to be any other questions. No one else with their hand up. I believe it's now a chance for Miss Evans to come back and respond to anything that she's heard.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Evans.
Yeah, first off, yeah, obviously there is a pub there, and I will have to disagree on some of the points with the car parking and the noise facilities. Obviously it is a pub, and you'd be quite surprised, which I suppose the residents will probably agree, that people are in that pub first thing in the morning. You know, there is a lot, you know, sort of come to work, open up, and there is already people in there. That is a lot to do with the noise. Sometimes, like, I'm opening the hatch, you know, at 9 o'clock, and, you know, between 9 and 9:30, you've already got 3 cars in the car park, you know, going into the pub. You know, when I left, like I previously stated, you know, there were 6 cars parked on the road. The burger van had been closed for 40 minutes. You know, that was nothing to do with the burger van. You know, I can only ask, which I do ask, and there is signs, you know, sort of telling people sort of not to park on the roads, and if they do use the car park, you know, sort of leave after, you know, be mindful to the residents. But obviously I cannot sort of control how people act if they're not coming to the burger van, when that's something that is out of my control. And I can't help people parking on the road if they're to do with the pub or anything else.
Thank you. Is that everything you wish to respond, Miss Evans?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Price, you're on mute.
Chair, you're just on mute at the moment. Sorry, Chair, you're still on mute. I think the Chair may be having some technical difficulties unmuting. Is there any questions from anyone in relation to what Miss Evans has just said? No.
No, excuse me, can I make an observation on what she said?
No, just questions, Mr. Martin.
Okay.
If there's no further questions, then we will allow an opportunity for each party to sum up, starting with Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Members, you will be required to determine this application this morning. I would ask that you consider the Council's policy and obviously all of the information that you've heard during the meeting today before arriving at your decision. There's nothing further to add from myself. Other than directing members back to the officer recommendation in the report. However, that the decision rests with the members of the committee. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. I think perhaps if we could just pause the proceedings for a few moments, just so we can have the chair back with us. I think she's on the phone at the moment to committee services trying to sort out the problem. Apologise for the delay, but if we can just hold on for a few moments till she's back with us. Sorry, everyone, they're still working on it.
Oh God! Wait a minute now.
Chair, you're on mute
now.
We can hear you again now.
So what do I do now to get that back up to what I had before? Are you there? Hello?
Hi, Chair. Yes, we can hear you at the meeting. Thank you. Chair.
Chair, would you be able to indicate if you can hear us?
Right. Get this off.
I think the chair had your phones on. She may have took them down and not disconnected.
That's a fair point, actually.
Right, I'm back.
Can you hear us, Chair?
I can hear you now, sweetheart. I am so sorry.
That's okay. Mr. Morgan's just summed up. We're now going to move to Mr. Martin to sum up Mr. and Mrs. Martin's position. Is that okay?
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Martin.
Yeah, hi. Well, I think just like to sum up a couple of questions, if I may. Is Mrs. Evans in any way involved?
Sorry, Mr. Martin.
Can't do that.
No, the opportunity for questions has now passed.
Okay.
If you can just sum up by putting the main thrust of your arguments to the subcommittee, that would be really helpful.
Okay. Well, our main objection is on the grounds of noise, light, smell, litter, disruption, the fact that it's dangerous to pedestrians, children passing, or will be if it's open past 2 o'clock, and it will be totally disruptive to the whole neighbourhood.
Could I just make a point too as well, if possible?
So, sorry, Miss Evans. We are
Could
not
I make
going
a point?
to.
No.
No, we're not going to interrupt Mr. Martin's summing up.
Okay.
So your turn to sum up will come. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Martin. Please continue.
That's okay. And undoubtedly, there are a lot of cars that do park on the road, along outside our house, across the road from us, further down the road, which do specifically stop for the burger van. You see them walk in and walk out with burgers in their hands.
But my main objection is the evenings. I don't want my evenings disrupted by the noise and the cars and the lights and the music. That's my main objection.
Yeah, and the thought that it could be every evening would be very distressful.
Terrible.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chair, perhaps if we ask Mr. Platt to sum up.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Platt.
Just to sort my objection, it just increases the negative impact on living here with the noise, disturbances and everything.
Is that it?
That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Rawson?
Now it's an opportunity for Miss Evans to sum up. Thank you, Miss Evans.
Hello. Yeah, just the fact of whether the residents, can see sort of outside at the moment. There is currently cars parked at the top, and the car park, there is actually 5 vehicles at the moment that's parked in the car park, but there was only one customer that was currently at the burger van. The entrance to the pub is around the back, so they would have to sort of park either in the car park or on the road and walk past the burger van to get into the entrance of the pub. But that, I think, is, more to do with the pub in regards to the cars, because, like I said, there is currently 5.
Miss Evans, sorry to interrupt. The summing up's not really for introducing new information to the subcommittee. It's really about summing up your position, your main arguments to the subcommittee. Can you limit yourself to that rather than introducing fresh stuff?
Okay, sorry. Well, my sum up is basically the same as what I previously stated, as in the burger van would not be open every night until 10 p.m. And sort of, I'm willing to work with the residents and come to some sort of compromise of, just the events. I'm willing to give them notice if they would accept that, of when the burger van would be open. I can give them notice prior to that. That's basically it, really.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Evans, and thank you to everyone attending today for their representation. Can I just say I apologise deeply for all this interruption this morning. Couldn't be helped. Technology is a marvellous thing, but when you don't know what you're doing, it's hard. But anyway, Mr. Rawson from Legal, please.
Thank you, Chair. In a moment, the subcommittee will retire into private session to discuss the application and the representations that they've heard today. I'll be there to offer legal advice, and the committee clerk will also be present in that private session. Once members have reached their decision licensing the applicant, and local residents will be advised that the subcommittee is ready to reconvene. Everyone will be asked to rejoin this Teams meeting through the meeting link that was sent to you, and committee services assist with any reconnection issues. So it's using the same link that you've used to get into the meeting today, earlier this morning, that will be used to reconvene. Back to you, Chair.
Okay. What